guys, what's up? We're back with Behind the Bikini, and we are on season 3, episode 105. And today we are going to go with one of your suggestions for our topic today, which is going to be what to do as your first time experience going to the Olympia, which I think probably is quite a few people, just probably in general every year. So we're going to come at it from different kind of standpoints since we've both experienced the Olympia from different lenses, really. So before we get into that, like, comment, subscribe, hit those buttons. You know what to do. All of the things. And Jordan is back home after a whirlwind of a week. So tell us a little bit about what happened over RGV, and you were just at Roads to the Olympia. Now you're home, all the things. So what's going on?
Yeah, it's been quite a week. I stepped on stage for the first time this season, since Pittsburgh. We were ready ahead of time, so we just kind of threw into the show. To be honest, we knew it was a risk. At the beginning of this season, I think everybody knows I've had a really tough season. This is not a winning season for me. This is my best look with awful placings, top 5 placings, but I compete to
In
win.
your mind, it's awful. I get it. I
Yes.
understand that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been a tough season. And so we knew it was going to be a risk because the judges that I've, kind of stepped in front of, the first half of the year and got those lower placings, it was in front of kind of that same panel. So, but we wanted to go anyway. I went with, a very small expectation. Um, I've been having a lot of trouble sleeping, so it was kind of a wonky week last week, but honestly, it was a great time in Texas. It was a great show. Bernadette and Battle Up Productions and Galvanize does an amazing job. So it was a fun show. Yeah, so I think everybody is a little shocked, as was I. I was splitting center 95% of the time in the morning show, and I was shocked when I got third. I was not expecting that. So feedback at the show was that 2 of the judges had me in second, and 3 of the judges that were on the same side sitting next to each other couldn't get over my quads. To them, they thought that they were overpowering and too big for the show. So me being Jordan Brannon, I went home that night. My photos were already up on NPC News Online. I put a million side by sides together. I put a million side by sides of the girls I was standing next with on stage, comparisons of the top Olympia winners over the last few years. Thankfully, I already had my Road to the Olympia interview scheduled with Tyler. So I literally left on Sunday morning at 2:30 in the morning. We had to leave. And then we landed in Pittsburgh. I saw Tyler on Wednesday morning. And I had all of this on my phone ready to
Mhm.
go just in case. So I went into it, I'm going to pose in front of Tyler and I'm not going to say anything about my feedback. And I'm just going to see what Tyler says. Um, and I've done this every year since I've gone to the Olympia, and I've never left Pittsburgh feeling so good. We have 0 feedback going into this year's Olympia.
Good.
He loves the conditioning, he loves the size. He gave me his thoughts, and then I gave him my feedback from RGV. Thankfully, as a team, Fit Body Fusion, we always go in groups.
Yeah.
So we had Maria Acosta on site, who's a top 5 Olympian, and he said, "Bring Maria in here. Let's
Yeah.
put her right next to you."
Yep.
So Maria changed into her suit, and we went side by side. He's like, "No, you look great. You're fine." So feeling validated, feeling a lot better. Obviously I go to win every show. That's why I do this. I'm very competitive. I'm very hard on myself. I give 100% into this sport. If I do anything, I go all in, or I don't do it at all.
Mhm.
So it hurts especially when things looked like they were going a certain way and then you felt blindsided. I wish that I didn't feel blindsided. I think that's the hardest thing. But I'm definitely feeling better, and the ultimate goal is the Olympia. It's
Right.
always the Olympia. At this point, stepping on stage for this at this point is for feedback and to look at the number one target. Everybody knows my number one goal is top 10. That's my Olympia. That's my win. That's
Yep.
what I'm doing this for. And I will be very satisfied the day that happens. I'm very realistic with myself and my physique. So is my husband. My husband, when I get off stage, he is the first one to tell me every single thing that I do wrong.
Yeah.
And then will give me you looked great, love you. Um, this was the first time I came off stage and he was like, you did incredible. You did
Yeah.
amazing. You looked great. I wouldn't change anything. Jamie wouldn't have changed anything. Like we're truly just really, really happy with the look. So at this point, we just keep showing up. It's in God's hands. I know who I need to be in front of in the future to win shows, especially with the new, Olympia qualification updates, which was really cool because they dropped that at noon EST, and we were at the NPC gym that morning at 10 a.m. So we were the first one to see it and see that as a group. And JM handed me his phone. He's like, "This is dropping in 2 hours. Why don't you read it out loud?"
Yeah.
And so I read it out loud to our entire team, and just getting goosebumps. Like we were all like, and
Yeah.
something that people have said, Sean, is that they were like, "Oh my gosh, you guys have talked about this on Behind the Bikini is bringing the point system back." And
Yep.
and it just goes to show they're listening. The IFBB is listening. They listen to all of our suggestions. That doesn't necessarily mean that things change from them, but they are
Yeah.
listening to
Mhm.
us and what we're wanting.
Yep.
So I'm excited. I'm excited about this new system for sure. Um, what are your
Well, I did
thoughts
a
on it?
little. So we'll go into that in a second, but I want to go back to what you were saying about your feedback and everything too, because and I was watching all of the updates come up and things like that. The first thing I said to myself was, "A, you didn't look like the other top two." That was the first thing. You didn't look like them. I was like, either she's winning or she's the outlier. It's one of the two. You know what I mean? And in my head though, I was like, conditioning wise, like it was really significantly different between you and the top two. And then also Hannah in that first call out was similar condition to you. I was like, that's the fit body fusion. No, conditioning right there, right? So in my head I was like not anything, and I didn't review the show, and not anything against Raina because I think she's got a great package, but she had cords in her hamstrings. I mean, she was really, really hard. And when I looked at Krista Bellina, she just lacked pop. But the one thing I did see about both of them is that they're longer lines than you. So I was like, I don't know what they're going to do here. But if I was judging again, going towards the Olympia standard, Olympia criteria, again, you would be the first place position, right? So when it came out that you were third, I was shocked. Like, really? Because in my mind, you were closer to the actual criteria of the Olympia than both of them. So I don't know if it's just like they were comparing like physiques with like physiques or whatever. And that's why we talk about the whole like apples versus oranges thing too.
Yeah, and that is the frustration as a pro bikini athlete.
Mhm.
The shows during the year are not necessarily the winning winners of the shows during the year are not necessarily the true bikini standard at the Olympia. And this is something as a coach and an athlete that's it's frustrating because that's where we find that the mark kind of changes. And listen, don't get me wrong. Rain is an amazing athlete. She
Mhm.
looks insane, but something I noticed before we went on stage is she was hard, and if I show up that way, what's always my
That's
feedback?
right.
And
That's you're
we've
too
talked
hard.
about this 100
Mhm.
times because I love that look. I would love to show up that hard. I love that look on me. But every time I do, it's what are you doing? This is way too hard, way too
Mhm.
bad. So it just that's where it stings. It sucks. But this is where I have to accept the reality of it, of my bubbliness.
Mhm.
It's just it is what it is. It's a certain look and it depends on who's standing next to me to be able to put that on stage and not have it look like an outlier.
Right.
But again, going to the Olympia standard, I think we nailed it. And
Yeah,
and
I agree.
again, like I don't ever toot my own horn, but I feel like we nailed it. Finally. I
Mhm.
wasn't too hard, I wasn't too vascular, I had lines, I was full, and I was just really, really happy.
Well,
Really, really happy with
even
it.
your presentation was very solid. Like usually you're a little bit shaky, you can see nerves and stuff like that. But when I was watching your presentation, your posing, I was like, no, she's hitting everything on, like spot on.
I just felt on
Yeah,
that day, and that's where it stings too. It's like when you
yep,
have those days where you're like, this is it. Like this is awesome. Like it's and you're in it and you're feeling it and you're in tune to it. And and it's okay. It's like
yeah,
it is what it is. I wasn't too sad. The great thing is it was on the same weekend as North Americans. So I had two athletes on stage. So immediately I got off stage and I went into coach mode. So that kind of helped, with the
yes,
emotional toll of it. But that is the hard part is it feels like it's a constant moving target. I felt like we hit the target for the Olympia standard. And again, that's my goal. So goal achieved.
Yeah.
Minus not coming home with the win, but that's okay.
Right. So let's go
Mhm.
into the going into the coming home with a win thing, because obviously I did a live last night about the points update. And in general, like I said, I like the point system. We've talked about this before. I think it makes it fun. I think it makes it interesting, all of that kind of thing. My only caveat to this whole thing is I don't think it's going to qualify less athletes. I think it's going to qualify the same number of athletes. So maybe you can give a little bit of an insight as to what they're thinking as far as how this is going to qualify people. Maybe we're missing something.
They think they think at the top end it will qualify about 50,
Yeah.
which in the earlier years they said it was about like 46 to 47 that they felt comfortable with. So we were running the math. It's going to be about 50. So at this point, like this year, it's upwards of 70, and we
Yeah.
have one more weekend before the cutoff. So, um, I mean, to me, 47 is a heck of a lot better than 70. So I think it's going to cut
Yeah.
about 15 to 20.
I don't know. When I was going through the numbers in my head, I still think it's going to be higher. I mean, we'll see. Well, it's going to play out this year. I still think it's going to be closer to 60 or 70 athletes that are going to be qualified for bikini and for men's physique specifically. Because when you think about how this works, I mean, I know what they're doing as far as math is concerned, but there's girls like you who, like, you win one show, so you're qualified, so you stop competing. But the thing is that if you had to win two, you're going to go win two. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of girls right now that they win their one show and they're done. They wait till the Olympia, or they don't even get on the stage at the Olympia until the Olympia because they're already qualified or whatever it may be. Well, now they're going to continue to compete until they get that second win. So that number of people that actually win two shows is going to get bigger,
But I
right?
think that also offsets.
No,
I
it's
think
not
that
going to
off
offset the points.
No, I think it offsets random pros from sneaking a win when more competitive pros are out trying to get 2 wins.
I don't think so, because this is worldwide. You got to remember, we've got Asia, we've
I
got
know.
Europe, we've got South America. So I don't
But
think
those
so.
that's only gonna be a handful. I really do. I think it's gonna trim it. I think
I
it's
think
gonna trim it.
well, like I said, we're going to see what happens
We'll
at the end of the
see.
year, because the other part of that too is, like, again, we've already got 8 people that are going to qualify automatically, from the Olympia and from the other shows. Which, that was my question too. Are they going to have like bikini in Dubai?
There was 5 shows. There was 5,
Right.
tier 1 shows. I believe
Dubai is one of them,
Dubai, Romania, Pittsburgh, New York,
and the Arnold.
and the Arnold.
Yeah, but Dubai doesn't have bikini usually.
Oh, I don't know.
So that was my question too. Are they going to have bikini? And then my other question on this that's not addressed in there is what's going on with the natural shows.
That there was subsequential questions that we were asking as well, like masters, like,
Yep.
and things like that. And they basically said we haven't gotten to that yet. This is just the
Yeah.
preliminary. So there's obviously going to be more things that start coming out, natural shows, the
Yeah.
Masters Olympia, like things like that. I think it's a work in progress, but I think they were trying to get it out before the cutoff because the
Right.
cutoff is coming
Right.
up in 2 weeks. That way we all have a strategy,
I
going
don't think
into
we I
this
don't
next
think we
year.
necessarily have to worry about Masters Olympia yet, because we're gonna have a year off in Masters Olympia, so that's not a big deal.
Yep.
But the one that they put the initiative into place for this year was these natural pro shows qualify you for Ben Weeder. Ben Weeder qualifies you for Olympia. Well, that's only one. That's only one win. So does
Right.
that person have to go win another show?
It's a good question. It's a good question.
Because that's not,
Yeah.
I'm saying, just frankly, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
It's just not.
Right. Right.
So we all know this. I mean, it's great and all that kind of stuff that the national athletes can get on the Olympia stage, but they are always in the last call out every
Yeah.
time. So
Yeah.
it just is what it is. Are they going to make an exception for that? That's something
Right.
we have to figure out. But yeah, I really think once we see it all play out, I think we're going to end up still with the same number of athletes on stage. I really
Yeah.
do. Which, again, I always go back to, I would rather see them qualify more people and then have a preliminary cut round or something like that. Like we've talked about this before, where maybe the girls and the guys don't do their individuals, and we just do comparisons and call outs and get it to the top 20 girls or whatever, and then go from there with the individuals and stuff like that as we move our way up. I would rather see that. I would rather have everybody qualify, have as many athletes as possible qualify, because all that does is that brings in more athletes, it brings in more fans, it brings in more family, it brings in more money, brings in more sponsors, brings in more everything, right? And then the other part of that too is that now that they're adding Fit Model to the Olympia, that's going to add another hour and a half of prejudging.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
I
like,
don't know.
okay,
Like I see your point and I get that. I think from the athlete's perspective, like if you made it but then weren't able to step on stage at the Olympia, that would suck.
well, but
So,
my thought process is that you still get to step on stage. You just don't necessarily get to do your individual. You see what I'm saying? So it's like if you make it into the top three call outs or something, then at that point you've made it to the point where you can go on and do your individual and all of that.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah. I don't
that's
know.
that's
I
where
don't
the
know.
majority of the time comes from. When we're talking about prejudging, the majority of the time in prejudging is made up because of all of those individuals. Because yeah, you got a 45-second time limit, but you still got 10 seconds where you're walking out, 10 seconds where you're walking off. So it's you're on stage for at least a minute each person. And when you got 70 people, we're talking about an hour and a half, hour and 15 minutes of individuals,
Yeah. I mean, let me be clear. I'm the athlete that's voting for no individual
Right,
presentations and
right,
prejudging. So,
right.
it's going to be a work in progress. They're
And we've
very
talked about
excited
this.
about it. They're
Yeah, we've talked
very
about this too. Like with you, like when you're talking about you're Brandon, so you're at the very beginning of these individuals. So by the time you get out there for comparisons and call outs, it's been an hour and a half before you've been on stage.
yeah,
Your
think
whole
about
your
that.
whole look is completely different.
Right. And the adrenaline spike too,
Yeah,
right? Like you're pumping up, you're getting ready, you're in that first kind of call out, and then you're just sitting there for a freaking hour. Like, and you're just like, and then you gotta somehow come back up. I would almost rather be in the back of the pack and then just go right into
100%.
the comparison. So these are all things that you have to kind of think about on, going into the Olympia. Jamie's house right now, it's absolutely wild. We have paper everywhere on the windows and we're just writing all these notes and schedules, and these are the things when you have she has 18 Olympians going to the Olympia this year, and these are these little details that we have to iron out to make sure that we all know what we're doing backstage. Here's the thing too is usually in that ballroom there's no Wi-Fi there or like service, so we can't get to Jamie. She can't get backstage. We bought walkie-talkies, really expensive walkie-talkies, so we're hoping that like we have two backstage, and then Drew and Jamie and Greg all have one, and we're hoping that that works. But most of the time there's zero communication with Jamie once we enter that curtain,
Yeah,
so it's really really important that we all know where we need to be and when.
yeah. We had talked about that before about doing like Bluetooth or something like that. But if you've got no Wi-Fi or no signal, the Bluetooth won't work. So
Exactly. Yeah, so we
yeah,
got satellite walkie-talkies,
that's
so
crazy.
thank God for
That
Greg.
and then the other part of that too is the fan experience.
Yes.
I've been the first one to say, I'm like, listen, I love y'all, but I don't want to sit there for an hour and a half through all these individuals. I don't. I
No.
want to see the judging. And the judges don't want to sit there either. Like honestly, like they're there all day. They're literally there from 8 a.m. until prejudging ends at 5, 6 o'clock, and they go straight into finals, right? So it's brutal for everybody involved. Brutal.
Yeah, Bill just told me he judged North Americans all weekend, 85 hours of
Oh my God.
coaching or of judging
Judging.
straight this weekend. Straight.
And you guys don't, we've talked about this before too. Like you guys don't realize judges don't get paid.
No.
They get like $100.
Yeah.
not
They
not
get
even
their hotel and their
yeah.
travel paid for. Woo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not
This is
even
all
not
for the
even
love of the sport.
exaggeration. This is
Yeah.
not even because I was a judge, so trust me, I know there's lots of reasons why I'm no longer a judge, and that is one of them. I'm like, this is not worth my time. Like, it's really not.
Yeah.
So it's rough. It's a rough weekend, and like I said, like from the fan experience, I'm probably one of your top bikini fans out there, right? I cover the shows every weekend and stuff. I don't want to sit there through all of that. So imagine how your friends and family feel. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I
it's a
mean,
lot.
yeah, think about your family, everybody that's watching this when it's your show day. It's like, well, what time are you going to be on stage? It's like, I don't know, mom. I don't
I
know
know.
when I'm going to be on stage. Okay. Like, you just have to be there all day. They don't want to see anyone except for you.
That's right.
So I get it. Listen, I don't want 70 athletes there either. I don't, it's again, the Olympia, what the heart of the matter is with all of this is that the Olympia is supposed to be prestigious. It's supposed to be the top athletes on that stage. I would argue that if there's 70 plus athletes, it is less prestigious at that point, right? Like when I qualified in 2022, it's laughable when you look
Mhm.
back at that physique. There's no way I should have been on that stage or should have been qualified. I did not look like an Olympian at that
Mhm.
point. So this is what these qualifications are trying to kind of weed out. We want to
Yeah.
see the best of the best up there. I don't care if there's 40, but it's 40 fantastic athletes
Yeah.
that are splitting hairs. That's what the Olympia should be. Every single body that comes out is like, how are they going to judge this? Where
Right.
it's not that right now.
Yeah.
There's clearly the top of the
Yep.
crop, and then there's clearly the bottom of the crop. And
Yep.
and that's what again, it should be the Super Bowl of the sport for that reason, to
And
get that
that what
prestigious.
you just said right there is exactly why I think there should be a cut round because you can make it you can cut off the bottom half really easy day of the
Yeah.
show.
Yeah.
really, really easy. So I
Yeah.
think that I really think that's the best solution. And also, like, if you go back to talking about the amount of time, it's going to take actually less time to do that as well, because you're going to cut off the bottom half that aren't going to do routines. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
So I really think that that's the, and here's the thing. Here's what they could do as well. If they start going through the year and they start realizing this point system is actually qualifying just as many people, they could implement a cut round at next year's Olympia.
Yeah.
They could.
And that's what I think. I don't think this is the end all be all. I think this is
Mhm.
going to be something that they implement and then it's a work in progress. And
Mhm.
obviously, our feedback matters,
Yep.
So, as fans and judges and everybody watching, like, we have to keep talking and kind of telling them what we want. Clearly, they're listening.
Yeah. I mean, and they do this at shows now. Like, there's certain shows you walk into, you don't even know if you're doing your individual or not, or how you have to do your individual until you step on stage. Like, they'll literally tell you, go straight to the X. Don't do a T. You've got 20
Or
seconds. When you walk on stage, they tell you that.
there's been two shows this year where all athletes arrived at prejudging, obviously. All athletes arrived at finals and were told at finals before it started, only top 10 are stepping on stage
Yes.
tonight.
Mm-hmm.
That's and that sucks. It didn't happen to me the twice where I had to walk away. But could you imagine being that athlete where
That's right.
you're asked to leave, you're excused? That sucks. I think
Yes.
that could be done better.
100%.
Obviously the scores are tallied at that point, so, like, a text or an email like, "Hey, don't come back." That way you're not sitting around backstage lining up with the rest of your peers and you're asked to leave. That happened this weekend at Texas, and I don't like seeing that with any athlete. That
Oh,
sucks.
yeah.
That sucks.
Yep.
So again, like, these are things that I feel like can continue to improve and, protecting everybody that's in this space. We all work really hard and none of us want to be embarrassed. If that was me, I'd be mortified.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. So there's, and again, going back to, this is why we're vocal about this stuff, right? Because the only way that things are going to change is if we say something,
yeah,
right? That's the only way they're going to make changes. And again, going back to, I mean, obviously, like we said at the beginning of this, they're listening, right? They're listening to what we're saying. So, hopefully, hopefully I'm wrong and that it doesn't qualify 70 athletes. I really think it's going to, though. I think what we're going to see is we're going to see girls like you that typically win one show a year, just continue to compete until they win two. And what that's going to do is just going to bump the points earners down as far as like their level of competitiveness, if that makes sense. The other part of the point system that sucks is that a lot of it comes down to who can afford to do multiple shows. You know what I mean? And I mean, I saw it. I said this, that there was a one year, it was only qualified on points. There was no wins. Even if you won, that didn't qualify you, right? So I had a girl that I worked with her posing and all that, so and her suit and all that. She didn't qualify until the very last show of the qualifying series, and she qualified by 1 point because she took fourth, and that put her above somebody else, so she got in. And she literally did like 10, 11 shows or something that year. Most people can't afford to do that,
yeah.
let alone their bodies holding up,
Yeah.
right?
The last year of the points before they took it off, that was my year that I got
Yeah,
qualified. And
yeah,
I was in high in the points, but I kept competing to make sure nobody jumped me. And then I
right,
ended up winning a show, shockingly.
right.
But I was committed to going to
Yes,
every show possible just to keep getting points to make sure nobody's jumped me.
yep.
I'm blessed where, when I was reading this out loud, yeah, the other day, was this yesterday? Yeah, it was yesterday. Holy shit. Wow. When I was reading this yesterday in Pittsburgh, I was literally thinking to myself, I'm worried about winning two shows.
Yeah,
I mean, look at my track record this year.
right,
I don't know if I can win two shows with,
right.
these judging panels that have a difficulty with my physique. So I was more jazzed about the points, and I can afford to travel, obviously, and be at
Yeah,
every show. I'm there every weekend anyway. So what I want to be in a suit and step on stage, but that is going to be the caveat, right? It's like if they know they can't win two shows, they're going to have to afford to do multiple shows to make sure they're in the top 25 of the
that's
points
right.
race. But that's going to also cause some more, like, hype
Yeah.
around the sport too. So it's just kind of exciting. I don't know. I just like the change. I
No,
like
in
this.
general, I like having that, like we've talked about. I like having something to be strategic about. This makes it more strategic. We've talked about this before. It's almost like meh. There's no hype for anything this year because it's just like meh. This is like the girls win one show and then they're done. It's like, okay, we don't even get to see it build up. We don't get to see them get better, all that kind of stuff, whatever. So this does keep people more invested, which I do like, and again, overall, I think this is a good improvement. The only thing is I just don't think, I think it's going to still qualify as many people. I just do. But we'll see. We'll see how it plays
See,
out. We'll see.
yes, we'll see.
I really do think it's going to end up, especially, it wouldn't be the case if we didn't have, like, again, these shows popping up now, a lot of them in Asia, a lot of them in South America and Europe and things like that. But I think that we're going to see, there's a lot of girls that do the European circuits that win multiple shows over there. Evie's one, Valeria was one, a lot of them over there. Lisa Wreath, whatever, she's one. A lot of them do a bunch of shows over there and they win two shows. They come to the States, and they get freaking crushed, but they win two shows over there. So they're
I know
qualified.
there's a lot of girls that want to go overseas next year too and
Hmm.
compete and try to
Yeah.
level the playing field. So
Yeah.
I'm excited about that. I mean, I
Well,
know
that
Drew wants me to get overseas too next year, so we'll see.
the thing with that too is that's going to be interesting to see if that happens. You know what I mean? Like, because now you're putting yourself, again, you're an orange in a bunch of apples. So are they going to reward the criteria, or are they going to reward what's being rewarded in Europe?
And that's what Bill and I were talking about, because we were talking about, the shows overseas and, the ones that he's judged over there. He's like, it's just a completely different bear over there because the athletes have a different standard, of how they show up than, compared to here. But if we start going over there, what does that look like? Do they
Yeah.
conform to the standard from the States that we're bringing, or do we need to conform to the European standard? It'd almost be interesting as, an experiment, if you will, to kind of see. But it's true. Those girls are big and they're hard, and man, I love that look. So maybe I show up, that's where I
I
compete
know.
in my favorite look. But
Well, and the thing that people don't remember too, you weren't in the sport when they used to do this. So after the Olympia, it used to be like the European tour. So what would happen is all the girls that placed in like the top five, top six at the Olympia would then go to Prague and to wherever. They would go overseas. They would compete 4 or 5 different shows over there. It was always like Janet and India and Courtney and Ashley, and they all went over there and competed. So they would all
okay.
win shows over there. They don't do, but since, I don't know, that was what, 2017, 2018 when they did that stuff. They haven't done it since. So, it's that was when they did the whole split between the IFBB and the IFBB Elite and all that kind of thing too. So
Got
back when
it.
it was still all as one,
Got
the
it.
girls that won here at the Olympia, were top at the Olympia, would all go on like a European tour right after the Olympia. The guys did
Wow.
too. The guys did too. All
Wow.
of them did it. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of like Arnold this year. And then they had the Brazil Arnold
Yep.
the following weekend. So a few girls went out for that one. Or what was it? The Brazil Olympia? I forget. It was Olympia
Oh
or
yeah,
Arnold.
yeah,
But
yeah. I think it was the Arnold. But no,
yeah,
you're right. No, I think you're right. It was the Olympia because it was muscle contest.
I
It
think
was
it was
fair.
the Olympia
I think
because
so.
Alice and Rihanna went and they went
Yes,
right out.
it
And it was
was.
after the
You're right.
Olympia.
Yeah, it was
But
Olympia.
they were exhausted.
Yes, they
Like
were.
they got there and they're like, "Oh my god, this was a big." They had fun, but they were like, "That was a big mistake. Like this is a
Yeah.
lot of travel." And
Yep.
Olympia, like as an athlete, I know we're gonna get into like the consumer experience, but as an athlete, it's a long
It
week.
is.
Like we get there Tuesday, Wednesday, and we're like media all day long, Wednesday, Thursday, like with our sponsors and our teams and
Yep.
behind the key. Like there's just so much interaction. Friday is like our only day to ourselves. And some athletes step on stage on Friday. So
Right.
they're literally back to back to back to back to back. So
Yep.
it's an exhausting week. Like by the time Sunday comes around, like I committed this year to no photo shoots. The last 3 years I did photo shoots on Sunday morning. They want you up at the ass crack of dawn. I've never slept in the day after the Olympia, and I always feel like a truck has run over me. I told everybody, I'm like, I'm not doing any photo shoots. I will do a pool party. I'll see you guys at noon. Like,
Yeah,
but because it's exhausting.
it
Like you need a
is.
week off after the Olympia, just like for your body, your mind, your spirit. Everybody usually gets sick. Duh, everybody's around each other. So
Yep.
Number
100%.
number one for you guys coming to Olympia, start loading up now on your immunity vitamins like we talked about
Right?
last
Yeah.
week.
Yeah, that's true too. Like, and that's, we can kind of segue that into the experience of the Olympia and stuff like that. And it's
I'd just like to take a moment to welcome our new channel partners, Prozis. If you're unfamiliar with them, go ahead and go down into my description box now, click on the link, go check out their site. They are the leading supplement sports nutrition company based out of Portugal, been around for 17 years. You might be asking what makes Prozis unique? Well, everything that they make is made in-house or with trusted partners. They have to go through rigorous testing in Portugal in order to even get any products on the market. So what you're gonna find really high quality, pure supplementation. And one of the biggest things for me is I have some GI issues. So being able to eat some of these more healthy protein treats and things like that and not having gut issues, oh, worth its weight in gold. Go check them out. Click on the link in my description box below. Use the code Cuties10 to get all of your discounts and even some special surprises. They're always putting out some amazing promotions. Let them know that I sent you and let me know what you think. Thanks again for watching and thank you for supporting our channel. Now, go optimize your own athletic abilities and check out Prozis.com.
Different every year because for a few years it was in Florida and now it's back in Vegas. Initially it was at the Orleans, now it's at Resorts World. So every year is going to be a little bit different as far as how you want to manage it and things like that. But as a first time attendee, the first thing you want to be here for is that press conference on Thursday. So most of the time, if depending on where you're coming in from, you probably want to come in on Wednesday because the press conference starts usually around, I think, around noon on Thursday.
Yeah.
So the press conference is fun. I mean, if you don't care about that, that's fine. You don't have to be there for that. There's the meet the Olympians that night. But I find that, like, for me, I'm going to be honest. Personally, I don't care about the press conference. It's just silly. It's hype to me. Whatever.
I have never gone to the press conference either.
Yeah, yeah. I'm like, every once in a while I'll pull it up on like the live stream to see what's going on, but I don't really go.
Yeah.
So my first thing is usually the Meet the Olympians that evening. So again, flying in from the East Coast, typically I would come in on Thursday morning because then I can be there and check into the hotel and all that kind of stuff and go to Meet the Olympians that night. But if you want to go to the press conference, you should be in on probably on Wednesday so you can get settled and all that kind of fun stuff. But yeah, Meet the Olympians for me is probably one of the best parts of the actual weekend because everybody's just kind of chilling. You get to go talk to people, take pictures, hang out. It's a few hours of just kind of talking with people. So that's the official kickoff, really.
Yeah, and I want to say this too, like for everybody that's planning on going to meet the Olympians, like as an Olympian, I want to encourage you guys like to go up to your favorite
Yeah.
athletes. Like when I went to my first Olympia, I remember I was so scared to go up to any table. Like I was like, what am I gonna say? Or like I'm embarrassed to take a photo, or don't be embarrassed. That's what Meet the Olympians is for. Like we're there to talk to you guys. Like some Olympians bring things to their table. I'm gonna have a lot of merchandise at my table this year.
Mhm.
Like that is our time to talk to you guys. We
Yeah.
want to talk to you. So, come with, a learning mindset, right? You are coming to watch the Super Bowl of our sport. So you're coming as an attendee to listen and get educated and watch what our new standard's going to be and talk to your favorite pros, ask them those questions. Like, how are you so successful? Like, come up with like some really great questions. I love the people that come up to me at Meet the Olympians and they just have like these awesome, straightforward, deep questions. And I'm like, man, they're really taking advantage of this moment to like talk to their favorite athlete or these top athletes and like really try to get into our minds of like how to make them a better athlete.
Mhm.
So I encourage you guys like go up to them. Some of the tables are going to be longer than others, obviously, but pick like the one or two that you really want to see. Probably start with those first because the longer the night goes on, then honestly the tables just get longer.
Yeah.
But come with like questions and come to the table. It's
Yeah.
fine. Like you're good. We're all there. We're all there to talk. We're there to take photos. We're there for whatever you want.
And I would say also probably makes you feel like you're there for a reason. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
because if you're sitting there with with nobody talking to you, it's like, why am I even here? I could be sleeping. you know?
Yeah, I like my first Olympian, no one like came up to my table, like a few people, like people I knew. And that sucks. But
Yeah.
it is what
Yeah.
it is. But now it's like I have to get pulled out of there or else I'm there till 11, midnight.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's cool. It's cool. Like we want to hear from you guys and see you.
And it's a little bit of a different environment too, because you've now because of this year, you've been to meet the athletes at the Arnold. So it's a little bit of a different atmosphere, Arnold versus Olympia. I always do interviews and stuff at the Arnold. I can't do that at the Olympia because they have freaking music like blasting
Too
and like
loud.
they try to make it like a big club atmosphere and stuff. So like it's just too much. Like again, go talk to people, take pictures. Use that time to go do that. I go say hi to everybody, that kind of deal. I never do interviews during that particular one because I just can't hear yourself think.
That's actually another great point too, is like if you're somebody that's really sensitive to like loud music,
Yeah.
I always have earplugs in my bag, like at shows and stuff too. Like you'll be able to wear your earplugs and still hear people like
Yeah.
talking. It's just gonna kind of drown out all that loud music. So if you're somebody that's really sensitive to that, bring something for your ears.
Something else I wanted to touch on too before I forget about it, because I was going to mention this about like coming in on Wednesday and stuff. You don't necessarily have to be at the host hotel. So
No.
the way that it's set up now, like it used to be set up at the Orleans and then like the expos at the convention center, right? So in that regard, I absolutely think it was important to be at the Orleans because there's no other hotels in that area, right? So you could try to get a hotel like near the convention center, but regardless, it's going to be a mess because you're going to have to travel one way or another. So there's been years where I've gone to the Olympia and I've stayed off site, and it's just a pain in the ass trying to get around. So staying at the Orleans was definitely the best option in that regard. Now that it's at Resorts World and it's right there and literally you can walk to the convention center, you could get a hotel anywhere in that area. So what I did last year was, I can't even remember, I think it was a Marriott, I don't remember, but it was attached to the convention center, which was fantastic because I could walk right into the convention center for the expo, and then Resorts World was a 5-minute walk the other way. So I actually prefer that, and here's the other reason why. As you know, they don't allow for like coffee pots, they don't allow for microwave or refrigerators and stuff like that at Resorts World. At the Marriott or whatever it was one of these chains that I was at, did. I had a whole little kitchenette and everything, so I was in prep because I was still in prep at that point. So I had everything I needed. I had all my food. I had, Instacart delivered my food. I had my little kitchenette. I could cook everything. I had my coffee, all that kind of stuff. So for me as a competitor, that was a way better deal than being at Resorts World, where you got all the resort fees. You can't make coffee in your room. You got to go get a $8 Americano downstairs if you want coffee, things like that. So things to keep in mind with that as well. I mean, this year, because I have my place, I'm not even going to get an apartment or get a hotel. I've got my apartment, so I'm just going to just Uber it over. But don't feel like you have to be at the host hotel. Try to find something that's either relatively close to Resorts World or the convention center. And like I said, now with Vegas, they've got a lot of the chain hotels like the Marriotts and all that kind of stuff where you could get there. And actually, there was quite a few people that were staying at my hotel too, like Kai Green. I saw him in the elevator like 3 times. They're staying there because they don't want to be on site, right? They want to be away from everybody. They want a little bit more peace and quiet. And that my hotel was so quiet, had a great gym. Again, it was literally right in the center between the convention center and Resorts World. It was perfect.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, as an athlete, I'm staying on property. But if I was attending, I probably wouldn't stay at
Mhm.
Resorts World. However, there's also athletes that are just diehard fans and want to be in the mix.
Yeah.
And if you want to be in the mix, be in Resorts World. You're gonna walk around that hotel. You're bound to see athletes walking around all day. Most of us pump up in that gym there because the gym is decent.
Mhm.
And just it's got the Olympia. They had a ball in the center of the
Yeah.
ballroom last year. I mean, it's just cool to be there. Something
Mhm.
that I think is also really cool to note with Resorts World, which not a lot of people know, is that they have an underground Tesla tunnel that
Mhm.
takes you. It's literally just for these Teslas. They're just going in loops all day long, where it can take you from the convention center back to Resorts World. And there's I think they added some other stops there too. They were
There's a
talking
bunch of
about adding one
stops.
from the airport. So like if you are on an offsite property, because the biggest thing to this is Ubering and getting to Resorts World. So get there a couple hours, leave a couple hours early because you have to get through the strip and then get to Resorts World. Then once you're there on site, just kind of plan to be on site.
Yep.
Once you get into Resorts World, there's a lot of places to hang out, to eat. You really don't need to leave all day if you don't have to, but you just need to get there.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. Like if I wasn't competing myself personally, I would want to go back to somewhere much more quiet. But if you love like being in the thick of things all the time, then you're gonna want to be at Resorts World because
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Yeah. And just, take into account the things that we've mentioned too with Vegas, like when the year before where they had Planet Hollywood, is that what it was? It's Planet Hollywood. Yeah, Planet Hollywood in Paris were the
Three.
main, yeah.
And
Yeah.
the
So
Venetian.
one, yeah, yeah, yeah. So that was a pain in the ass. That was first of all. So
Yeah.
secondly, like my one athlete was at Planet Hollywood. And again, no coffee pots. She literally bought a coffee pot on Amazon and had it delivered to the room. She was there all week. She's like, I'm not going to go downstairs and spend $10 on coffee every morning. She's like, I'm going to get a coffee pot and make it myself. So she literally bought a coffee. She just left it there when she when she checked out. She's like, it just made more sense to do that, you know? So those are things to think about. Like Vegas doesn't have those, doesn't allow for microwaves, doesn't allow for the all that kind of stuff. They do that on purpose to make you buy their shit in the casino. So just remember all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, obviously at Resorts World, like for the athletes, there is a microwave room.
Yeah.
It's a hike though. So last year we bought Adair and I bought a microwave and we just shared it. But yeah, Vegas sucks for bodybuilding because for like all the major casinos, the microwaves are literally illegal. So
Yes.
yeah, just keep that in mind if you're going to be at one of those major resorts. In that case, if you are on prep and need that kitchenette, I would definitely do something offsite.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. So the main thing for me during the weekend is the expo because that's where prejudging takes place, all of those kinds of things. It's rare that I'll actually buy finals tickets. We've talked about this before because they're so expensive and you can't see shit. So, I would, if I was somebody coming for the first time, I would make sure that I get myself the best expo tickets I can. Now, like I said, this year they do have that option of the Expo Elite or whatever it is, and it's like with taxes, it's just over $300. And what that does is that gets you in early, but it also gets you into the seated area for prejudging. There's only a limited amount of seating area. I don't know if those tickets are sold out or not. I know I already bought mine a couple months ago or whatever. But that's most important because if you don't have one of those, you are on the outside of the seats and you can't see shit,
And
right?
you're
So
standing.
that's right. That's
Yeah.
right. Yep. So if you want the best experience for prejudging, get one of those. I would also say, regardless of what the schedule is,
Be there
for the
early.
different divisions, get there early. Get there early. I get there at the beginning of the morning. I'm there for, again, for all the female divisions anyway. So there's that. But I get in that area, and then if people leave after a certain division, I can quickly move up. You'd be surprised how fast people are like, "I'm gonna go get that seat." Like they're just like they're not wasting time. If there's an open seat, they're gonna go get it, right? So it usually clears out after classic physique, or it clears out after men's physique, or whatever, and then you can move in for bikini, that kind of thing. So, but be there early. I get there when the expo opens, and then make friends because if you make friends, they'll save your seat while you
Help
get
each
up to go
other
to the
out.
bathroom or you go to see the booths or whatever, and yeah, you can do the same thing for them. Like that's what I do every year, like John with the Pro Bikini News Network and stuff like that. We sat with each other last year, so whenever he wanted to go to a booth, I sat and saved our seats and vice versa. So make friends so that you can do that kind of thing, and that way you don't have to sit in your seat all day long during prejudging.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, if you're going with a group, I would get there early with the group,
Yes.
like even an hour before prejudging begins, and
Yep.
then go in waves with your group. So somebody sits there for, the first 2 hours, then you switch and you go to the expo and then they take the seats. Like, just kind of plan it a little bit that way. And just like Sean's
Yes.
saying, like after each division, the fans of that division are gonna get up and out of the seats.
Yep.
So just have someone right there. My family last year had a stand, because they got there too late and we didn't have enough bodies to get somebody there early. So it sucks, especially
Yeah.
when you're a female and you're short and nobody cares. These dudes
Yep.
are 6 foot in front of you. They don't care. They want to see sebum. So you can't
Right.
see anything. So
Right.
it's frustrating. So it's a lot of waiting. It's a lot
Yes.
of waiting around, but it's worth it for prejudging to see your favorite
100%.
athlete. I would not put money on finals. I
100%.
wouldn't. I've been there twice out of my own pocket. Actually, probably 3 times. Yeah, three times out of my own pocket, and every single time I'm literally watching the screen. I'm like, why did I spend $500 on these tickets? So it's
100%.
it's not going to give you anything more than if you were to watch it the PPV somewhere else.
Yep.
Sean went last year. They hosted it at the club.
Yep.
I
Zook.
hope they do that again this year. I know there
I
was a
think
lot
they
of great
are.
feedback about that.
I think they are. I think they are. Yeah, so depending on the year, we've always done a watch party, even at the Olympia. So last year we went to Zook because they did the watch party at the actual club in Resorts World. That was the first year they'd done that. In previous years, like the year before that, there was a girl that had a suite at one of the connecting hotels. So we all went there. We got the big screen TV. We all got Uber Eats and we sat around and watched the whole thing together, which was a lot of fun. And I've done that several times. Like the probably the most fun I've ever had for Olympia finals was at the Orleans. They have the big alligator bar in the center. And everybody was at the alligator bar. Everybody had finals up on their phones, and we're all sitting there getting fucking wasted
And watching.
watching finals. We had so much fun, screaming and yelling like it was a regular sporting event. You know what I mean? That's the way you want to experience that kind of thing. There's been a few years where I've gone to like Friday night finals because Friday night is cheaper and it's not full, it's not packed, all that kind of stuff. So you can go in for men's prejudging, all that kind of stuff. So I have
Big
done
boys.
that. Yes, yes. So I have done that for the actual tickets because you can get a ticket for like $100. So if you can do that, go for it. That's worth it. It's fun. At least you get to see the venue and all that kind of stuff. But like I said, for Saturday night, there's no reason to do it.
And I'm saying this from a place of I've been to finals, so I can
Yes.
say that. So maybe you do it 1 year just to get
Right.
the experience, but
Right.
I'm telling you, you're not missing
That's
anything.
right.
The first Olympia I ever watched in person was actually 2020 when it was in Orlando.
Yep.
And I lived in Florida at the time. And there was a lot of people there. And it was when they switched it from Vegas last second because Vegas was still under the COVID restrictions.
Yep.
And the entire floor, like didn't have stadium seating, it was flat seating. And literally they had us packed in there like sardines.
Yep.
And I told myself that first year, it was the year Janet won. I was like, I will never do this again.
Yeah.
And I've done it like every
Yeah.
year since, but it's
Yeah.
because I just love the sport and I feel like I need to be there. But literally every single year, I'm like, I could have just been watching this in my own hotel room with Uber Eats right
That's
now
right.
and having a much more fun experience. So
Yeah.
you're not missing anything, but you probably need to do it once in your life. But
That's right.
if it's something where you're stressing financially to afford a ticket, don't stress.
Right.
Like it's really not worth it. I
It's not.
promise.
And that I did the same thing. I went to finals that year, 2020, and I was able to get my seat upgraded and all that stuff too. But we were literally like, it was me and two of my girlfriends. We had two seats, and then the guy sitting next to us, he had a wheelchair actually. So it's like we were literally sitting up like on top of each other,
Yes.
like in each other's laps, so that we had enough room for everybody. And it was fine, and we had a good time, that kind of thing. And we were closer, so it was worth it to be up there. But
It
but
was
lit,
3
but
weeks after I just had my breast augmentation, and I had to sit like this
oh,
because of how tight we were, and my boobs were so sore
oh
the next day.
no,
But
yeah.
that's, like, how tight, like, I had to, like, sit, to keep everything in.
Yeah. Wow. And even at that, I mean, it was a cool experience. It was fun, but you cannot see the detail on the
No,
competitors at all. And I was
no.
I was up towards the front. Like I was like they had the part of the stage that came out this way. I was off the side of that. So I had great seats and I still couldn't see shit.
Well,
You
that's a
know?
good point. Like Jamie and Greg always like they're on that, that first email round where they get like first pick of their seats and they always have fantastic seats. And I asked Jamie every time, like, were they good? Were you able to see? She's like, no, I couldn't see anything. So those seats, like the gold front
Yeah,
row, blah, 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 they still feel like they can't
that's right.
see anything. So I'm telling you guys, like you really aren't missing much. There's a way to do this and do it in a very cost-effective way, but still feel like you're getting the full Olympia experience.
Yep. And the other thing is too, like you can get the gold VIPs and all that kind of stuff too. Like those have their benefits
Perks.
to them as well. Because then I don't know if I don't even look. Are they doing like the after party and stuff like that too with the gala and stuff this
Yeah.
year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you get like in early. So like with the Meet the Olympians, it officially for everybody starts at
Yeah.
7, but you guys get in like the gold and the platinum or whatever at 6. So you have a full
That's also the
hour.
case. That's also the case for the expo thing too, though. Like that gets you
Yes.
in early for the meet the Olympians too.
Yeah. So like those perks of like getting in early to things, that could really help
Yeah.
for sure. Because then you could
Yeah.
just get in and out, see your people, see who you want to see, and then not be there for too long.
Yeah. So I would say like if you get the package and stuff like that, then maybe it's worth doing that kind of thing. Because again, I go back to like the fun parts about the Olympia are not necessarily the show itself. It's the Meet the Olympians, it's the gala afterwards, it's the, seeing people at the expo, it's seeing people at the hotels and things like that. That's the fun part. Like the show part of it, the actual show part of it, just get enough PPV.
Literally. Yeah. So it's like the social side of it is what I would look forward to most as an athlete. Like, be prepared. You're going to be walking around and you're going to run into one of your athletes that you really like or want to talk to. And, I don't mind people stopping me at all and talking to me. I don't think most athletes don't mind. Maybe the guys something different, but that's what you really are going for is like that social component, learning, studying your sport, that's why we all do this, right?
Mhm.
Like this is the Super Bowl. This is going to set us up for 2026 and what they're looking for. Like that's, come with that hungry heart, to try to figure out what am I working towards? If you want to come earlier in the week too, they obviously have the amateur Olympia where people are fighting, for their pro
Yep.
card and whatnot. It's a special show because it brings a lot of overseas athletes as well because they can get their pro card. This is one of the few shows in the States where they can get their pro card. So, if you're an amateur athlete and, want to get on stage next year, fight for your pro card, these are the opportunities you can, go watch the amateurs as well. It's also a harder show to get your pro card at because I believe it's top 4 in the overall, like junior
I
USA
think,
days.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
it might even just be top 2. I
Oh,
could
it's
be
like
wrong.
3 or yeah, something like
Yeah,
that. So
it's few.
it's
It's a
difficult.
few. Yeah.
It's difficult. So that would also be cool too.
Yeah. So there's lots of different things. And again, and I would also stay through till Monday, right? Because there's still stuff going on Sunday. The expo is still going on. There's, like you said, pool parties, all that kind of stuff going on too. And just a shameless plug, I am doing a boot camp from Sunday to Monday. So if I've got like 3 tickets left to that. So if you want to come to that, I've got an Airbnb. We're doing girls' night out, all the kind of fun stuff
Good.
too. So, there's lots of little things like that you can stick around for, right? And it is a holiday weekend, so that's good. It's Columbus Day, so stay through till at least Monday, because then you can actually that's the best time to catch your athletes too, because they're all going to be here. They're all doing like you. They're going to do photo shoots, or they're going to be at pool parties or whatever. So go to those things because that's when you can actually hang out with them and the pressure's off.
Yeah, we're happy then. We're fed.
Yes,
We're off
yes,
stage.
yes,
Yes.
yes. And on Sunday they do have also a press conference, the champions press conference or whatever, which I typically go to. Um, I'm gonna be honest, it's a little boring. I'm just gonna be
I was gonna
honest.
say that, like, the one on Thursday, it it makes me uncomfortable because they, like, try to get the athletes to, like, like, fight not fight, but what am I trying to say? Like, they try to
Yeah,
get them to, like,
the rivalries. Yeah.
yeah, and it's like, it just makes me uncomfortable because I feel like we truly all, like, respect each other in this sport. I mean, the
Yeah.
guys, they have their shit, but,
Yeah.
that's where, like, it's like, oh, it just, like, makes me uncomfortable. That's why I've never gone because, like, I don't like seeing conflict, so I don't like conflict at all, so I'm like, I don't wanna
Uh-huh.
watch that. And then Sunday, like, I don't know, I'm like, I wanna just go to my photo shoot or brunch or,
Yeah.
get out of there, but I know a lot of people do go and they wanna, like, hear the mind of, the winner and whatnot, but they also do their speeches after they win too, which I feel like is more of like that emotion, that raw emotion, hearing how they feel, and that's what kind of pulls on my heartstrings more. So I feel like my love tank gets full from hearing the finals
Yeah.
speeches.
Yeah. It's one of those things. It's like I said, I typically go, but it's more because I cover it for the media aspect of it. You know what
Right.
I mean? It's not because I really want to be there, if that makes sense.
Well, and I
Like
feel like too, like the athletes are exhausted, especially if they've won. They're probably been out all night.
yep,
Like, you're not really getting a lot of information at that
that's right.
point.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's like, if you're gonna be there, go for it. Is it worth it? It's up to you. Maybe it may not be. Instead, maybe go, like I said, maybe go to the pool parties and stuff like that instead, right? Like that, you may get more satisfaction and enjoyment out of that.
Something that would be interesting though with the shakeup this year is like there's gonna be a new classic winner.
Yep.
Men's physique is always up in the air.
It's gonna be
Bikinis
a
up
new
in the
figure.
air,
It's gonna be a new figure.
new figure, right? So like that would be the caveat to this year is there's gonna be a lot of new winners. So, kind of hearing their perspective, getting to know them a little bit more, etc. So that would be like the one thing for this year that would definitely be different.
Yeah, but that's also something you could easily watch on pay-per-view too.
Yes, 100%. 100%.
So, and they're gonna, just like anything else, they're gonna clip the best bites and put them all together because it's just a
Yeah.
conference.
Yeah,
So
like if you're deciding on Sunday, like, do I do this or do I do something else?
do something else.
Do something else.
Just do something else.
You guys can find me at brunch around
I know, right?
10:30,
I know.
mimosas,
Yeah.
whatever.
Well, that's the thing too with it being here in Vegas. I mean, you want to take advantage of the amenities here in Vegas too. There's freaking buffets everywhere. There's amazing food, amazing shows, things like that. So, before I actually was out here, typically what I would do, because this is going back years too, because it used to be in September.
Right.
The Olympia used to be in September, and it was always my birthday weekend. So what we would do is I would come in on Thursday for the Olympia, and then Dan would fly out on Sunday, and then we would stay until Wednesday. So we would celebrate my birthday, and we would go out and participate in all of the stuff here in Vegas. Right, that worked out great. There was like 1 year where he came for the Olympia. There's two. It was 2 years. 2 years he came for the Olympia, and he sat in the hotel room the whole time. And I was like, this is dumb. I was like, just come in on Sunday, and then we'll go have fun. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Because he's not into this stuff at all, and like he just gets annoyed. He's got ADD. He'll just be like on his phone or whatever. You know what I mean? So I was like, just let me go do my thing. I was like, you come in on Sunday, and then we can celebrate. So I mean, that worked out really well for us. But if you're coming in and making a whole like week out of it, do that too. Stay for a couple extra days, stay till Tuesday, Wednesday, or whatever, and go have some fun. So 1 year we were here. Um, one of the girls competed in the Olympia, and she got married right after the show. So we went and did her whole like wedding party and all that kind of stuff too. So that was fun. We had a good time.
That's what I love about it being in Vegas. Like, I personally love Vegas. Drew loves Vegas. You
Yeah,
guys know he plays cards, and
yeah,
I like to fuck around with the show. Like, I'm that person that can go sit on a slot machine by myself for a couple hours and go see a show by myself while Drew plays cards, and I'm very content. So
yeah.
I like Vegas for that reason. Like, there's always something to do. So yeah, I'm definitely staying till at least Monday. And enjoying it, because as an athlete, we don't get to enjoy Vegas. We're sitting in our hotel room, or on property, like I said, doing all the media stuff. We're not in Vegas,
Right,
so it's
right.
it's our time too to kind of, relax, let loose, celebrate the prep, celebrate the end of the season. Not a lot of us are going to do shows right after, we're shutting it down for the season. So um that's where, like, as an athlete, when you get back to your hotel room Saturday night, waking up on Sunday morning, you really do feel like a big breath of fresh air, and just kind of, that's where really the emotion starts hitting you, like you reflect back on the prep and what you did to get there and your placing yesterday and how it felt and the proud and maybe even upset.
Yes.
It's just a time to like really reflect. So I feel like going home right away, it just kind of like doesn't allow you to really soak it all in.
That's right. And the whole
Yeah.
experience, and realize like you are lucky to be there. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? And actually
absolutely.
something you just mentioned triggered this too, because last year, I flew out here. I was in prep at that point too. I was super lean. I started getting headaches, like nosebleeds, all that kind of stuff, because it's so dry out here. So if you're not used to this climate, come prepared for that kind of stuff. I got massive headaches, and like I said, like the first day I was here, I had nosebleeds. I was like, "What the fuck is this?" And I talked to so many people that were like, "Yeah, same thing happened to me. Yeah, same thing happened to me." So Gatorades, make sure you got these on lock. You know what I mean? Be ready for that kind of stuff too. Make sure you stay hydrated through the whole thing. Like that's something people just don't even think about.
Yeah, especially the water, because water is really expensive in Vegas. Like, if
Yeah,
you go to one of those shops, a bottle of water could be upwards of $20, not kidding. So, Instacart everything.
100%.
Um, but yeah, like our Olympians that are coming from Florida, which is when I used to live in Florida too, they're coming like 12 days
Yeah,
before to adjust to the
yeah.
climate. And I've told you guys the story of my first Olympia with Drew when I looked over at him and he had two double nosebleeds running down. I'm like, are you okay? What's going on? So yeah, the environment and the climate,
Yeah,
especially if you're coming from like Texas over East Coast
yeah.
with all that humidity. I was just in Texas and Pittsburgh this week. You guys are dealing with some serious humidity, as you guys can see.
Mhm.
This is like 2-day washed hair and it's frizzy AF. So it's gonna be, if you feel like that headache coming
Meanwhile, my
on.
hair is straight as a board because I'm in
Yeah.
Vegas.
Thanks, Sean.
I know, right?
But yes,
But
be
it's true.
prepared.
Yeah, yeah. And that was the funny part about it too, because again, I was in prep last year. So actually I did a photo shoot on Sunday after everything was over with. We went out to Red Rock and we shot out there. I could not believe how lean and dry and vascular I looked like the whole weekend. And I'm like, oh my God. Like I mean, I'm vascular through my abs and stuff like that anyway when I'm lean, but holy shit. I was like, where the fuck? This is crazy, which was cool. But again, it's just the product of the environment
Unless
too.
you're on stage.
Right. I know. I was like, this is, and that was the other thing too. I was like, I was 2 weeks removed from my show. So I had more carbs in me, all that kind of stuff too. So they were just blowing out. I was like, holy shit.
Great place to finish off your prep.
Yeah,
Literally.
absolutely. Absolutely. So, but again, just be prepared for that kind of stuff. Make sure that you got everything ready to go so that you don't get sick too. Don't hate yourself. Don't have your head pounding the whole time you're here and all of that too.
Water, electrolytes. Those are your,
Yeah.
and Advil. Have
Yeah.
all of them.
Yeah, and get sleep too. A lot of people don't do that. It'll wreck you real quick. You'll get sick real quick. I mean the good thing is now it's back in October, getting closer to that September time frame. But when it was that year, when it was in December, everybody got sick coming out of that, because that was the year where Venetian was the expo. The actual show was at Planet Hollywood. They had Planet Hollywood in Paris as the host hotels. So we were literally going to every single hotel. Venetian is 20 minute walk down the strip. So most of us would walk,
It was
because
awful.
if you didn't wait for an Uber, you're waiting an hour to go down
It
to go
was
down there.
awful. That was an
Yeah,
awful year. It
it's
was an
bad.
awful year.
Yeah.
And I woke up with COVID that year. So,
Yep.
yeah, it was
Yep.
awful. Yeah.
I didn't get I
2022.
didn't get yeah, I didn't get COVID there, but I got the flu.
Yep.
I was exhausted. And again, it was that from going from the cold air outside to the smoke filled air in the casinos, back and forth all day long. Like I would be freezing outside, walking to the expo and sweating because I'd just been outside walking for 20
Yes.
minutes.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
was terrible. It was
Yeah.
so
It
bad.
was really cold that year too.
Yeah, it was. And that
Yeah.
was, like I said, it's December. People don't realize it gets cold in Vegas in December.
It does. It gets pretty chilly. Some people are doing now. I was just talking with Hannah about this, like a travel humidifier in your
Oh,
hotel
really?
room,
Okay.
because like a lot of people are getting like the scratchy, like dry throat with the
Okay.
like I'm telling you guys, like these climate changes from
Yes.
here to East Coast is insane. And I
Yeah.
feel like that's what's you guys can hear. Like I've been like sick now for like 3 weeks. I'm not sick, but I have this awful cough. It's like still in my chest, but I just keep going back and forth between the humidity and the dry, and I'm not
Mhm.
getting better.
Yes.
Um, so I was talking to Hannah about it, and she's said that she started traveling with a humidifier, and it's been really helping. So I'm gonna
Hmm.
grab one too. So that might be something you want to consider too. But these
That's
are the
yeah.
things like if you're on prep right now, going to the Olympia, like you have to think about
Take
these
care of
things because
yourself.
it's a long weekend. Like prepare
Yes.
yourself, protect yourself, do the no hug policy. When you
Yes.
get into that expo, you are shoulder to shoulder with people that do not wash their hands after going to the bathroom, that woke up knowing they're sick and they're going anyway, and just protect yourself.
Absolutely.
You are so exposed at the Olympia. I would
Yeah.
still go. I still go every year,
Yep.
but just do the best you can to protect yourself.
Well, I've talked about this too. I mean, I take ivermectin as a prophylactic whenever I'm going into a big crowd of people. I do that. I do that every year for Olympia. I do it for the Arnold. I do it for any of these big expos. I do it for every year. And it's funny you mentioned that whole humidifier thing, because I have a humidifier here, because same thing. When I first moved out here, I was going back and forth between here and East Coast a lot, and I was getting sick because I'd get back out here and I couldn't acclimate to how dry it was out here versus how humid it was out there. So I literally have a humidifier here in my apartment that I use constantly,
Yeah.
for that aspect. So that makes sense. I didn't know they have travel ones. That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't either, but that's
Yeah.
something I'm definitely going to start utilizing for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So these are all little things, again, just to make your experience a little bit better. At the end of the day, when it comes to the Olympia, I think what's most important about the whole thing is what we just mentioned before, is the social aspect of it. Like you can get a show anywhere, any weekend, right? But being able to see all of your top Olympians and top people all in one place at one time just doesn't happen other than here. So that's where you really want to spend your energy and your time.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, like coming from somebody that is shy
Yeah.
or was shy, coming to my first Olympia, just come and talk to us. Nobody's gonna not want to talk to you. Nobody's gonna not gonna not want to take a photo. We understand as athletes what this weekend is. It's for us,
Yes.
but it's also for you guys as fans. And so I want to encourage you to like step out of your comfort zone, bring your questions. If you want an
Hmm.
athlete, photo with an athlete, you see them randomly walking down, it's okay to ask. If we're on our way to something, we might just be quick and be like, yeah, I need to keep going, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But like, we'll take that photo with you.
Yep.
So yeah, just come, have fun, get outside your comfort zone. Remember, you're there to study
Hmm.
whatever division you're in, ask questions.
Yep.
That's what behind the bikinis for too. So like if you guys have questions about, certain experiences or what our thoughts are, obviously drop those. After the Olympia, we'll obviously do a recap video, like ask about your questions there. Like Sean and I always want to come from a place of education and trying to help you guys feel confident in, anything that you're questioning. That's how this podcast keeps continuing as it is. So
That's right. That's right. So, it just helps to bring everything all together. You know what I mean? It just helps to put like a stamp on it and say, okay, so this is what we did for this year. Now it's time to move on to next year, and this is what we're going to be looking for next year, and all those kinds of things. So it's like that's what the Olympia weekend does. It wraps up the year, and then it leads us into the new one. So we really like you were saying at the very beginning of this about talking about your feedback from this last show versus what you got to do at Olympia. It's two very, very different things, and you can't get that anywhere but the Olympia.
Correct.
Yeah. So
Can't
yeah, it's
wait.
gonna be fun. I know.
5 weeks,
I was gonna say
guys.
we're 5 weeks out now. It's
5 weeks.
crazy. This time in 5 weeks, we will be just getting past the press conference at this point.
I know. I was leaving the office yesterday, and I looked at JM. I'm like, "See you in 5 weeks." He's like, "So see you tomorrow." Like, because it's
Basically.
literally it's gonna be here tomorrow.
It's
Like,
just I can't believe, like, I know we say this all the time, but I just cannot believe how fast time goes. I can't believe how fast this year went, like
scary,
it's nuts. I really feel like I was just competing in California like the other day, and that was December.
right?
I'm like, where did it go? I'm like, I just moving out to Vegas. I feel like this just happened yesterday. I'm like, no, I've been here since December. It's like, damn, fuck.
Slow down, time. Slow down.
Father Time is undefeated, and Father Time waits for no man. So just always remember that he's always gonna catch you, always gonna catch
Yes,
you. So yeah, well, I think that's a good place to wrap this up and get moving towards next week because it'll be here before we know it.
sure will.
It'll be here tomorrow, basically.
Sure
Um,
will.
and this is an exciting time of year. So like I said, with the rules coming out and all this kind of stuff, the last final qualifications coming in and going into next year, starting to qualify and all those kinds of things. So this is a really fun, exciting time of year.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Really looking forward to these last 5 weeks, and come what may, let's do
Yeah,
it.
let's do it. All right, guys. So thank you so much again, always for being here with us. Like, comment, subscribe. We listen and watch all of the things that come in. Hit the buttons on your devices. And for that, with Behind the Bikini, we are out. Bye, guys.
Bye.